Yeah, this is boring. Matt, say something stupid.
Oh my gosh.
So
Flabbergasted by what just took place.
It was unexpected. It was great.
it was great. Hello Internet and welcome to another episode of Cinema Brawls where we put two movies head to head and discuss which one is better. I'm Daniel.
I'm Matt.
And I am also Jake.
And today we are going to be talking about what movies?
We're talking today about The Shining versus Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
Yes, two very great and possibly underrated movies.
At least one of those is.
I guess we'll find out which.
The Shining is directed by Stanley Kubrick, came out in 1980, stars Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and Danny Lloyd.
Whereas Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog is directed by Joss Whedon and stars Neil Patrick Harris, Nathan Fillion, and Felicia Day.
Oh, okay.
Hottest nerd on this planet.
I can't dispute that.
Now,
Alright, let's bring it in for our first impressions.
Alright, so my first impressions are mostly ones of abject horror because I have to compare two of
you
my
really
favorite
like both these movies.
I love
don't
these
you?
movies.
See, Daniel is like conflicted between what he is supposed to like as someone who makes films and likes films and what he just genuinely enjoys watching as a person.
He's afraid that if he chooses the wrong movie, he won't be considered a professional.
He wasn't considered a professional to begin with.
Probably never will be now.
See, either we choose one movie and every film snob on the planet hates us, or we choose another movie and all the nerds hate us. We just have to decide which tidal wave we want to ride first.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to Comic-Con this year and I want people to like me, so...
So you're going...
Nerds it is!
You're going with Dr. Horribles?
Oh, no.
Oh.
Wait, nerds aren't into The Shining?
Film snobs.
I know, but I really like The Shining. I also really like Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
Like, these are both great movies.
They are both great movies in very different ways.
Completely different ways.
The Shining is the better movie, right? Right?
That's what we're here to talk about.
It's supposed to be, though, at least, so...
Well,
I don't know.
let's discuss it.
We're going to decide that right now based on science and, criteria that ultimately we came up with.
Cool.
Science.
On your mark, get set, brawl!
Well, let's bounce right into it. Story. So, Daniel, let me ask you this. How long is The Shining?
The Shining is like 4.5 months long.
Right. Whereas Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog barely touches an hour.
Yeah, it's like, 64 minutes or
Yeah.
something like that?
But man, there's a lot packed into that hour.
Right? Oh, man.
I think the story of The Shining is technically better because Dr. Horribles is just a couple of filmmakers and actors getting together and just having fun. Hey guys, come over, we'll shoot something real quick, just mess around a little, put it on YouTube.
Yeah, they shot in 3 days for less money than we spent on Mountain Dew for this episode.
That's true.
And so I think The Shining is better because it had an entire crew working on the story.
It definitely had a lot more put into it.
Yeah, there was a lot of thought, a lot of time. It was more vetted and was published more as a full story.
Right, and with the way the story for The Shining is, told and shot, it really sucks you in to that kind of mind frame that you need to be in to
Right.
for sure.
I feel like The Shining tells a lot of story without saying anything. Just by, like you said, the way it's shot, the places they go.
It is the perfect example of creating a mood with filmmaking. You aren't so much watching a performance as you are feeling how the characters would have felt.
Right.
The way the camera, the lighting, the editing, how everything is put together is to create this mood of how they want you to feel. And it's a masterclass on how to do that.
Right, and that's all towards the production side.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely. Whereas Dr. Horribles is like, I mean,
It's
not
complete opposite.
Yeah, it's not a deep movie.
Complete opposite.
They show you exactly what they want you to see, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
They had one camera. They just had, it was like a 3-day shoot versus like one of the longest film shoots in history
Right.
with Stanley Kubrick.
So
And
so we can safely say that the production value of one is far superior to the other. But does that add value to the story?
I think so, because I think a lot more thought was put into the story to make it what we see now.
Sure.
So,
and I can see that. I like the story of Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Lug better. Just like I like what happens in that story better versus The Shining. That's
that's
just
true.
like,
The actual chain of events.
yeah.
is-
Yeah, but I feel like Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog is kind. I mean, it's not, but it is kind of a story that's been told a lot. Shining is, at least for the time, very unique.
Oh,
an original
so
story.
unique. Like, and there's nothing even on that level ever created before or since. Just the level of mood that the story gives you, the level of craftsmanship behind the story, and then also, like you said, the literal chain of events of everything that happens. Even though it's a long movie, it's still captivating to watch.
Sure.
And still
Absolutely.
interesting, and they're just going for two completely different moods, and so it's hard to discuss them. But I kind of agree with Matt that it's been more vetted, it's been more
Yeah.
refined.
And Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog is a good story, but it's, short, it's pretty basic.
I mean,
And you can
it's-
kind of see where it's going for a lot of it.
Yeah. And it's the kind of story that I want to tell. It's the kind of story I could do versus The Shining, which is only Stanley Kubrick could do that.
Right.
Oh, I
Other
know,
people
right?
have tried. They've all
Right.
failed.
So why don't we go ahead and vote here? I vote for The Shining.
Also The Shining.
Yeah, we'll go with The Shining.
All right, Shining
story.
takes it. Now let's move on to characters.
All right.
Now this, just coming right out, I think the characters are so much better in Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
They have more emotion and fun and more like...
They're so hilarious.
They are.
Like, everything about the characters is just perfect.
I'm judging this by the exact same reasons we just did the story between the two movies, but I like Dr. Horrible's more for those same reasons.
Right.
The characters in The Shining are a lot more developed, they're thought out, every twitch of Jack Nicholson's upper lip is intentional, and it's kind of intimidating. Whereas Dr. Horrible's is like we said, it's just a bunch of friends getting together and having fun, and so I feel like the characters are they're just being themselves and just having fun.
More believable, more relatable characters.
More
Dr.
naturalistic
Horrible.
performances. You feel like the people in the movie are basically playing themselves with maybe just some names switched around. kind of
Little
thing.
exaggerations.
Yeah, and I love how the characters they're technically like superheroes / supervillains, but they're really just exaggerated versions of the stock bully, the stock nerd, the stock pretty girl, the stock, like in ways that they add depth, of course, and their acting and the direction and stuff is so on that end so meticulous, and what Joss Whedon is super known for is writing that naturalistic dialogue and having the characters banter back and forth so well, but just having those characters be relatable. Like, we all know a Captain Hammer. We all know a Dr. Horrible in like
people
all but
are the
names.
Captain Hammer. I'm just kidding.
Some people are Dr.
Thanks for
Horrible.
slapping me earlier.
You're jealous that I slapped you. You wish you could have slapped me first. Anyway,
And there's the plot of the movie.
but yeah, no, you're right. Dr. Horrible is interesting because you get to go into the mind of the villain this time, and even though he is still evil, like you get to see, what his motivations and his like little weird quirks are.
It's kind of like in Wreck-It Ralph. Just because you're the bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy.
That's true, and that's kind of how it showed it. But I gotta say, in this movie, Neil Patrick Harris and Nathan Fillion were both pretty bad guys.
They kind of suck.
Captain Hammer's the biggest tool superhero I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, and then with the Shining's characters, there is a lot put into them, but they're less relatable and honestly mildly terrifying.
Oh yeah. And the best part about the Dr. Horrible's characters is we got those reactions and performances without doing 400 different takes.
It's true. Now,
Not
let's
having
give it
Shelley Duvall's hair fall out, you
right.
know?
Let's give it to the actors for The Shining, though, 'cause they did an amazing job.
They were like perfect for those
Yeah.
roles.
Now, I'm still not totally sure. Is Jack Nicholson's character named Jack?
It is.
Okay.
Which is so funny
Which
to me.
is hilarious because I kind of always thought that everyone was just calling him Jack because that was Jack Nicholson's name.
I just always assumed Jack Nicholson was actually crazy.
You're not wrong.
Definitely is.
If Jack Nicholson, if you watch this, I love you.
But
Please
you're
don't
crazy.
come to my house.
Let's put this to a vote. For characters, I'm going with Dr. Horrible.
I will agree.
Yeah, Dr. Horrible.
Cool. It's unanimous.
All right, now let's go with merits and genre.
So, like The Shining?
Yeah, you gotta admit this one. The Shining takes this by a long shot.
Hardcore.
It has impacted the horror movie world so much. College students write thesis papers on what The Shining is actually about.
There was an entire scene about The Shining in another movie, like a couple years ago. Ready Player One, was that last year?
So good.
Yeah. And it's like being put into other movies, other big
So
production
iconic.
movies. Yeah, because it's iconic.
And it's so iconic that people got together and someone made an awful documentary about all the fan theories in The Shining. Was it Room something or other? Whatever the number is that
It's like
people think.
230 something.
And not only that, but you've watched that documentary.
I have, and it's bad.
Now,
The documentary's bad. The movie's good. The documentary's bad.
Yeah, so The
movie's good.
Shining has given a lot as a horror genre.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Documentary's bad.
Horror thriller.
but you gotta think, it's based off of a Stephen King novel, but Stephen King hated this adaptation of his movie. Like, so does that, I don't know if that really hurts the merits in genre. The movie is still fantastic if you take out that fact.
That's the thing, though. I'm not a book guy. I only know The Shining because of the movie.
Now, they did actually remake The Shining. There was another version of The Shining. It was a TV miniseries that stuck closer to the book, and it was bad.
So what does that tell you? I mean,
One,
Do it
production
right.
value,
Be
and
Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick. And
if only.
it's the story, and what I think a lot of people... What's hard for me to describe about Stephen King's writings is that he just writes. He writes and writes and writes and writes and writes, and he can make anything scary. He could make Pet Cemeteries scary, but it's about the mood. And what Stanley Kubrick did with The Shining was, again, bringing that mood across. Even though it didn't exactly adhere to the story of the book, it brought the mood and that terror and that unnerving sense of the unknown.
Right. So The Shining, busted it out the door. Whereas Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog is very little known, mostly because it was on Netflix, is how people know it.
I
Like,
only
it
know
was
it
just
because
released on YouTube. It was released as a three-part,
Right.
three-episode series
It's
on
a
YouTube.
YouTube thing,
for
and then it got
free.
moved to Netflix.
I only know about it because Daniel just started gushing over it in like middle school.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
And-
So funny.
While it's fantastic, I feel like it adds very little to its genre.
Yeah.
Very
It wasn't
well done.
even. It wasn't created to fit in a specific genre. It's just.
This was a fun
Yeah.
project. We have a weekend free. What are we gonna do as
That's the
filmmakers?
thing.
We're gonna make a movie.
I don't feel like it was made to impact anything. I feel like it was made to be
Absolutely
fun.
not.
Which is why, and we're voting The Shining on this.
Oh, absolutely.
Which
Shining
is
on Rising
why
Genre.
I think Dr. Horribles takes the next one, Rewatchability.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think Dr. Horrible takes rewatchability because in the time I could watch The Shining, I could watch Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog 2.5 times.
And I totally would. The Shining is a slog. Like, it sets up the mood perfectly, and it's slow, and it's uncomfortable, and I get that that's what it's supposed to do. But that doesn't mean I want to watch it all the time. I watched it once,
yeah.
like a year ago.
Dr. Horrible's
And-
sing-along blog is just so much fun.
Oh yeah, no,
So much fun to watch.
so much fun.
The only thing that's hard about Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog is having to say the name.
I know.
So, like, it's a longer name. That's the only problem that
Yeah.
we're having with it.
And I gotta admit, I never actually sung along. But yeah, I mean, especially with much longer movies as compared to shorter movies, it's always easier to rewatch the shorter movie.
Right.
Definitely.
But the level of fun from Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, that's like, oh, we got nothing to do, let's go watch this. Shining, you're like, you need to see this movie at least once, son.
Watching, and you sit there and you watch it, and the whole time you sit there, you're just a little bit uncomfortable, and unless you're watching at a theater, you're kind of like, I kind of want to, like, leave.
I think it's safe to say we are unanimously voting for Dr. Horribles on rewatchability. Right? Yeah.
Okay.
The ayes have it.
Well, it's 2-2, and we're down to our last category.
And this is the hardest one.
Oh my gosh. Emotional impact.
Because on one hand, The Shining is a horror movie, and it's supposed to make you feel paranoid and uneasy, and it does that so well.
I think
But there's so much emotion in Dr. Horrible. So much fun, so much bitter sadness, so much...
I think we should take just a sec. Super spoiler warning here, guys. I think we need to discuss the endings of both movies. First, The Shining. The ending of The Shining and the emotional impact, the emotions of The Shining are more of existential dread. Mm-hmm. It's fear of the unknown. It's not totally understanding what's going on, why it's going on, how different things happen. Why is he in that picture at the end? What?
What?
Like, just
What?
like weird confused noises just like escape your body after that.
From all orifices.
Shining isn't the only thing that'll do that to me, but you're right. Now, the thing with this category is it's emotional impact. It's emotional impact, and it's about how the movie makes you feel, and if it makes you feel the way it's supposed to.
Like, not only does it deliver on the message, but does it affect you?
Right, and we didn't talk about the ending of Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, which is he freezes Felicia Day, and
So, the ending to Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. His freeze ray works, but it goes off, Captain Hammer starts beating him up again, and then the freeze ray explodes. Captain Hammer is injured. Felicia Day, however, is not. And she is impaled by some of Dr. Horrible's equipment.
Right.
If he was able to become like a supervillain and become part of the Super League of Evil, then he could get the girl, kind of a thing. Like, that was his primary motivation, and then she dies.
yeah, and it's very sad.
So sad, and out of nowhere in this crazy
Oh, it
comedy
was shocking the
musical.
first time
Oh,
I
I
saw
know.
it. And that's
Totally unexpected.
And it does make you feel like that, but we talked about it all towards the beginning of this. The Shining, literally, the reason it's good is because of the way it makes you feel, the mood it sets.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why
Absolutely.
I'm probably going to give it to that, just because it does that like really no other movie does. And that's what makes it good.
Absolutely.
Whereas, yes, you do feel very sad at the end of Dr. Horrible's, but, I mean, we've had that before. in other movies.
We've discussed this kind of there's this choice between The Shining that has one overbearing resonating emotion and Dr. Horrible's had like range of a couple different ones. Mm-hmm. We've discussed that difference before in a few different matchups, and I think the resonating emotion has always won out just because it's consistent. It
does a good job.
Yeah. And I'm also more terrified of the film snob tidal wave. So I'm going to also vote for The Shining.
We're not basing this on fear.
But it's The Shining, so
we are basing it on fear. But we're not basing it on fear. But The Shining is going to take this one for me. That's what I'm voting for because it just does a better job the whole time.
The Shining is more of a... I hate to say this. It's more of an actual movie.
Yeah.
And it's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
So I think let's vote. I'm voting for The Shining.
Shining.
Yeah, I think The Shining takes this one as well.
And this is probably one of the first and only times we've been unanimous on all of our votes.
Which is so fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, that makes The Shining our winner. Ba-doop-doop. Doop-doop.
Here's Johnny!
Let us choose from the magical bowl.
Guys, can I just say, I am absolutely terrified of what might come out of the bowl right now.
Right.
Last time Jake had to watch one of his favorite movies go down
Ripped
to
shreds.
what would mostly be considered an only okay movie.
I'm still insanely bitter about it.
This time Daniel had to be torn between, two of his favorite things, so the Cinnabon Bowl is gonna punish me next.
Yeah, down with Matt.
Down with Matt.
Just let it out. Just let it rip.
Happy Gilmore.
Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh, thank goodness. I live to see another day.
We'll get him one day.
Please don't hurt me.
Well, guys, bye.